Algebra 2, Lesson 1-2, Part 2, Properties of Real Numbers. For any real number, a, b, and c, the following properties hold true. The commutative property for addition states that a plus b is equal to b plus a. Likewise, the commutative property for multiplication states that a times b is equal to b times a. The associative property for addition states that a plus b plus c is equal to a plus b plus c. The only difference is the parentheses are moving. Multiplication is exactly the same, except instead of the addition symbol, we see a multiplication sign. The identity property for addition states that a plus 0 is equal to a. Therefore, 0 is known as the addition identity. The multiplication identity is known as 1, because when you multiply by 1, you're not changing that number. The inverse of addition is a plus negative a equals 0, and the inverse for multiplication, a times 1 over a equals 1. And finally, the distributive property states that a times the quantity b plus c equals a times b plus a times c. And the quantity b plus c times a is equal to b times a plus c times a. The distributive property is neither addition nor multiplication. On the following page of your notes, we're asked to name the property illustrated by each equation. The first 4 examples ask us to name the property that is illustrated by each equation. We notice in the first property, what's changing from the left side of the equal sign to the right side of the equal sign is the fact that negative 8 plus 8 is replaced with 0. Because of that, that indicates that this would be the additive inverse property, or inverse of addition. Either way, say it's the same thing. In example number 2, we notice what's changing from the left side to the right side are the parentheses. The parentheses were first around the 4x, and then they were moved to be around the 3 and 4. The order is still the same, 3, 4x on the left, and on the right, 3, 4x. So that indicates that it is the associative property for multiplication. Number 3, 5 times the quantity 8 minus 6 is equal to 5 times 8 minus 5 times 6 is obviously the distributive property. That's easiest. And on number 4, we need to pay, again, close attention to what's changing from the left side of the equation to the right side of the equation. Some people focus on the parentheses, others focus on the 8. Notice the placement of the 8 on the left, and notice the placement of the 8 on the right side of the equal sign. We also want to look at the 5 plus 7 because sometimes it is what's in parentheses that's changing. In this case, what was inside the parentheses is exactly the same, 5 plus 7 and 5 plus 7, both on the left and the right side. So it's just a matter of where that plus 8 is located. And because it's just the plus 8 that is moving, that would be the commutative property for addition. In the following 3 examples, we're asked a little bit more of an abstract question. Question number 5. If w plus z equals 0, what is the value of w? And what is w called with respect to z? So they're basically asking us, if we put a question mark in place of that w, something plus z would equal 0. So let's think about that. Something here added to z has to equal 0. The only thing that would make that true is if that something were negative z. Negative z plus z is the only way that will equal 0. What is the value of w? Well, w has to equal negative z for that to be true. And the final question, what is w called with respect to z? What property is it that says negative z plus z will equal 0? That would be the additive inverse, or the inverse of addition. Question number 6 is similar. If w times z equals 1, what is the value of w? And what is w with respect to z? So again, replacing that w with a question mark. Something times z equals 1. Well, it's not 0. 0 times z is 0. It's not 1. 1 times z is z. So the question mark has to be 1 over z times z would equal 1. The value of w then is 1 over z. In other words, the reciprocal of z. What is w called with respect to z? Well, what property says 1 over z times z would equal 1? That's the multiplication inverse, or the inverse of multiplication. Doesn't matter how you say it. And number 7, I believe number 7 is easier than number 5 and number 6. If w times z equals w, what is the value of z? This time we want to know what is z. So w times something has to equal w. Well, the only thing that could go in the place of that question mark is 1. W times 1 is the only way to equal w. And we're not asked, but what is z called with respect to w? In other words, what property is illustrated here? That would be the multiplication identity.